The G20 meetings have concluded in New Delhi. Among many things discussed during the day, one of the prominent declarations has been announcement of the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. In this video, we are going to talk about the takeaways for United States from this initiative. The India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor consists of railways and shipping. It will start from the Arabian Sea through shipping route and it will pass through UAE, Saudi Arabia and Middle Eastern countries and then move on to Europe. This will create a connectivity from east to west. There is an undersea cable being planned. Along with that, transportation of energy is also a major utility behind this initiative. But why is United States interested in this? What is in it for United States? Well, there are 5 takeaways for United States. The first one being it counters BRI. Belt and Road Initiative was launched by China. It's been a decade and still China is struggling to link the entire route. In this process, China has created debt trap for many countries. This economic corridor directly counters China. Essentially, this can be seen as a rivalry between United States and China, where United States is giving the world an option to China's BRI. The trade route of this economic corridor is completely different from that of China's BRI. The China's BRI passes from China to Central Asia and then to countries like Turkey and then Moscow and then to European nations. Whereas this India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor directly skips that and it starts from India in the Arabian Sea and moves to the GCC countries and then directly goes to Europe. The thing about this route is that there is no need for this route to pass through Iran, Moscow and Turkey. As we all know, Iran has been heavily sanctioned by United States, and one thing that's holding BRI from actually integrating with Europe is the fact that it has to pass through Iran and Moscow, who are at loggerheads with the West. This economic corridor gives an opportunity to skip and bypass this. The second takeaway for United States is that this creates a safer supply chain. And United States, if it faces a conflict with China, will definitely be impacted if BRI becomes a major trading route. With this economic corridor, United States will avoid that scenario. In case of a future conflict with China, its supply chain will be diversified. In fact, this will be an alternative to Suez Canal as well. And the third takeaway is the fact that India is going to become, at least poised to become, the manufacturing hub of the world. India is slowly but surely replacing China as the supply chain provider for the West. Many countries are pulling out from China. Many countries are moving out of China and they are diversifying, or I would rather say de-risking from China and setting up their plants in all other areas of Asia. Countries from Southeast Asia like Indonesia, Vietnam are benefiting from it. At the same time, it can't be ignored that India is going to benefit from this immensely. India faces a lot of challenges in terms of its manufacturing capabilities, but in spite of that, there is a lot of work for India that is available to take. All the countries that are moving out of China have very limited options in Asia, and India is a very major destination which the West cannot ignore as a replacement for China in their supply chain. So adding to the second reason, the third takeaway is that since India is going to be a major supply chain partner for the West in future, it is essential that the West establishes a trade route directly with India. And this economic corridor, the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, is just that. The fourth takeaway is that over the last few months, the US foreign policy has met with huge challenges in Middle East. Countries across Middle East have patched up with each other. especially countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and many other countries. And Russia and China have gained a lot of influence in Middle East. To counter this, United States had to do something. Providing security cover to Middle Eastern countries is no longer a viable option for United States, especially considering the conflicts in Middle East are stabilizing. This economic corridor gives United States a reason to engage with Saudi Arabia and UAE, and gives, in fact, I would rather say Saudi Arabia and UAE a reason to engage with United States. Hence, it makes United States a major player in Middle East outside of providing the security blanket or using petrodollar to participate in the Middle Eastern economies. So even if Middle East moves away from petrodollar and falls under the influence of Russia and China, United States is lowering Middle East with this economic corridor to kind of hedge their risks when it comes to a future conflict between Russia, China, and the West. The fifth takeaway is that Europe is a major ally of United States. In fact, we can go to the extent of saying that many European countries, or I would rather say European Union, is a vassal state for United States. So United States has to ensure energy security for Europe. And with Russia and China increasingly aligning with Middle East, the West needs to engage with Middle East and provide the Middle East with some incentive to work along with West and create some kind of obligation or some kind of relationship with the West where Middle East continues to supply energy. And this economic corridor can be exactly that bridge. So it is very clear that this India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor is actually a US economic corridor, a very direct benefiting factor for United States. United States may not have its name in this economic corridor, but every participant knows who is the real beneficiary in all this. But at the same time, we cannot ignore the fact that a country like India, under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, which is increasingly eyeing global dominance, will benefit from this. It gives India an opportunity to be part of an alternative global trade structure to BRI. That doesn't mean that BRI has taken off. In fact, BRI has failed so far. But India's participation in this economic corridor certainly gives it an edge against China. At the same time, Middle East countries can now hedge their risks between West and the Russia-China axis. In all this, United States is playing a very delicate game of balancing and giving incentive to its friends from Asia. And these friends may not be direct allies of United States, but certainly United States is giving them a reason to partner with the country. I'll be posting more videos on G20. Do subscribe to my channel and like this video. This is Degrees signing off. See you in the next macro story.